Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551. Excuse me, and I am back with a review slash thought video for this week. And for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at Marvel Studios' latest movie, The Marvels, that just came out in theaters. I just came back from watching it. Supposedly the sequel to 2019's Captain Marvel. And for parents out there, it's worth pointing out that The Marvels is rated PG-13 here in the US. In 2019, as I mentioned, though, Captain Marvel premiered in theaters, and despite what some on the internet were claiming, there was a whole take the Anita test and everything like that, though, the movie did very well at the box office, mostly because it was basically around the time after Avengers Infinity War, but before the start of Avengers Endgame or anything like that. I saw the first one, and I thought it was good, though. I thought it was more online with what basically Marvel's Phase 1 movies was, and that certainly wasn't necessarily a bad thing or anything like that. And I really did not have any problem with Brie Larson playing Captain Marvel and everything like that, though. Fast forward to 2023, though, and Marvel Studios is kind of in a very odd predicament. After Avengers Endgames, though, there's been sort of in an odd place, though. We had several Marvel movies, but some of them have sort of basically there's been some questions about whether some people liked it or not. Eternals was controversial to some folks over there, although I thought it was kind of interesting, to say the least, though. And to even earlier this year, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium, which personally I thought was pretty much the best out of the three Ant-Man movies that came out, but otherwise, some have a different view on that, to be exact. So Marvel was kind of been sort of in an odd spot ever since after the events of, following the release of Marvel's Avengers Endgame and everything like that. Well, with this movie, though, The Marvels, it was sort of kind of stuck between, it was sort of in an odd place as well. You also had the situation ranging from the writers to the actor strike, to some questions about what the director was doing, and certainly this and that. And after finally seeing the movie myself in theaters, I will say this. I don't think it's as awful as the internet has made it sound like it is, but I will say it's far from perfect, which is unfortunate because there so much they could have done a bit better with the Marvels, though. So why don't we get started with the pros? We'll start with what I like, and then we'll go into what I like, what I didn't like, mix, not sure or anything like that. As far as what I like, though, I definitely liked basically the cosmic approach that they basically did with this movie, though, as I always kind of like that approach that with a lot of these Marvel movies, though. I mean, I enjoyed it with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this one sort of continues that to a certain degree. It basically follows how the Kree are trying, or this one person, leader of the Kree, trying to restore her planet and everything like that by, stealing other resources from other planets and so forth. So it's a very interesting sort of cosmic-like approach and everything like that. And some of the scenes, I will say, look really interesting, including, some of the fight scenes, especially with, Captain Marvel and, of course, Ms. Marvel. And I'm not sure whether, I forget the name of the third one, so I apologize if I don't get that name correct or anything like that. So, I mean, I definitely like the cosmic approach. Maybe not to the same scale as the Guardians of the Galaxy, though, but still, nevertheless, I definitely like this approach they made with the Marvels and all. The next thing I do want to talk about is that there is certainly some funny moments, and there were some times when I did a little bit of a chuckle here and there, though. There were certain moments, especially when you had, Captain Marvel swap out with Ms. Marvel and her other friend and all. So it was certainly neat, certainly also funny to see with, the cat, from Captain Marvel movie, the one that ate that Tesseract, the cosmic cube and everything like that, basically produce, children and everything. So there are certainly some odd and funny moments, and some of it I did get a little chuckle here and there and all. So there were certainly some funny moments on it. And last but not least, I do like the fact that how the show does show some connection with, Disney's WandaVision, which is one of my favorite Marvel shows on Disney Plus, though, and of course to Ms. Marvel, another one I did enjoy to be exact, though. I like how the scene sort of opens up from the final episode of season 1 of Ms. Marvel, where basically Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel kind of swap places and everything like that. You also get to hear it, certainly, Captain Marvel's friend, how she able to get her powers, basically mentioning, the events in WandaVision and all that stuff. So that certainly is, I like the fact that how they had those connection to those two shows and everything. So I thought that was really neat and everything. As far as what I didn't like, mixed or not 100% sure, though, I will say that, I will say this. While I do like the fact that the movie does have connections with WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, some of that is going to a certain degree, require you to watch those two shows to sort of get an idea why the two are sort of connected with, this movie, the Marvels and everything like that. It's kind of similar to what I had with, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Good movie, but again, unless you watch WandaVision, there's going to be some stuff you're not going to understand. And again, I kind of feel like that with the Marvel Zone. The next one, and I thought this had to do with a scene in the movie, and I thought, I get the joke, but I still think it was kind of stupid, though, nevertheless. And maybe this is just my preference and taste. But the scene basically has them visiting a planet that basically they talk by singing and everything like that. It kind of sort of like, I think it's trying to do somewhat of a parody of, those classic, Disney movies, like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, or even sort of their take on, Frozen or those kind of movies where there's like singing and dancing and everything like that. Personally, again, to be honest, I'm not a really big musical person outside of just one in particular, and that's the classic Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. But outside of that, I'm not really into musical, and I thought the scene was just absolutely dumb and everything like that. Again, some may have a different view, some may actually like that scene and all, but I'm not really, to me it was like, to be exact though. And last but not least though, I do have to say with the story, and I think this was probably the weakest part, to be exact though. While it is certainly interesting and everything like that, and there are certainly some moments that I thought, okay, this looks kind of neat, I just felt the story was just weak compared to how the first Captain Marvel, which definitely had, I felt, much stronger story, ranging from, Captain Marvel trying to find out who she is, to the conflict between the Skrulls and the Kree and everything like that. And this one, maybe not as much. Again, I'm not saying it's awful or terrible or anything like that, but I would say it's not nearly as strong as, say, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was, or even Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, to be exact, which I felt had a much stronger story than, say, the Marvels. Again, some may have a different view on this, but that's sort of how I see this with the story in terms of the Marvels and everything. Overall, I would say I kind of came away with the Marvels somewhat mixed in this one though. While I won't say it was completely terrible or anything like that, I just don't think it was as strong of a movie as I hoped it was going to be though. At its best though, I definitely like the cosmic approach that they made in the Marvels though. I thought that was really neat in terms of seeing the other planets and everything like that. Excuse me. As I said, there are certainly some funny moments in the movie, which I think is good. And I do like the fact that there is connection to WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, two shows on Disney Plus in the Marvel Zone, which I don't think that's necessarily bad. But at its worst, though, like anything, unless you watch WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, there may be some stuff that you may not understand as much and everything like that. The whole singing planet thing, I mean, again, like I said, I think it's stupid. I somewhat get what they're trying to do with this. It's sort of the joke and everything, but I still think it was kind of stupid, at least in my book. And unfortunately, I do think the story was probably the weakest part of this movie, though, which is really unfortunate, though, because I think there are some neat moments, and I would still be open to the idea if they ever do a third Captain Marvel movie and everything like that. But at the same time, I do think that there were certainly some problems with this movie and everything like that, and certainly not something Marvel Studio wants, considering this year has been kind of rough on them, with Ant-Man Quantumania not doing very well with them, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 doing well, and this one supposedly not doing great in terms of opening box office, to be exact. Hopefully Marvel Studios can sort of find a way to get back on track, though. Maybe try to find a way to balance between putting shows on Disney Plus and putting shows in the theaters and everything like that. So to me, I think the takeaway from the Marvels is it's okay. It's not as awful as the internet makes it sound like it is, though. And let's be honest, there are times when some folks on the internet will blow things way out of proportion. But I will admit, I kind of think it's not the strongest Marvel movie out there either, compared to how the first one definitely had more of a Phase 1 vibe to it, and that certainly was not necessarily a bad thing, though. That doesn't mean that I am against the idea of a third Captain Marvel movie or anything like that. I would be down with that, though, but I'm hoping that they've learned lessons with this one, though, and see what they can do to improve with like a third one, if that does ever happen or not, though. Okay, this concludes my video review / thoughts on the Marvels. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts on the Marvels? Did you see the movie in theaters in any way? Are you waiting to see if it comes on to Disney Plus? Did you actually enjoy the movie? Do you think it wasn't as bad as the internet made it sound like it is? Or do you thought it was like, yeah, it wasn't great or anything like that? Were there any scenes that stood out for you for most? Or were there scenes that you figure, why was this in the movie in the first place? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon or Steam Lamps. Links will be in the description of this video, so if you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!